Hi, everybody. Pardon me for being a moment late. I just wanted to restart so that everyone could hear as clearly as possible. We're going to meet on our mats in a comfortable seated position of your choice. Yay! And we're going to do our best to ignore Fred, who's like having a moment over here. Cool. If sitting down in this seated position is uncomfortable for you, if you notice that your knees are coming all the way up towards your chest or your armpits, I encourage you to take a gentle little lift. And maybe that means that you uh, just take a little fold of your yoga mat so that you're gently propped up. Maybe it means sitting on a block or a pillow or opening your legs out a little bit wider. We'll hang out here in this comfortable seated position for a little more than 1 minute. And I encourage you to find some stillness while you're here. So if you're still, you know, moving around a lot, ask yourself, where can you slow down time a little? And maybe it's just in your breath, and maybe it's just in your mind, and your body is still kind of doing its own thing. But the best that you can to just create a little stillness on both ends here. Take your time, keep your sit bones ground on the floor or mat, and start to take a gentle hinge forward from the hips, not just the waist. So you're not just rounding and feeling uncomfortable and getting that cat action in the back. A little lead with that chest, a long spine to come forward. And then if you want to take some rounding, you can, but you'll be a lot more relaxed into it if you hinge forward from the hips, bring your hands down, and then take a rounding as opposed to rounding from up here from the waist instead of the hips, which can be a lot on that back. Think about squeezing your shoulder blades together around your spine. Make sure those sit bones are still on the floor and gently start to walk your hands over to one side. As you walk your hands over, maybe experiment with drawing whichever shoulder is towards the front, more towards the front. A little extra stretch through the back into the lats. Maybe even feeling that big time in your shoulders, just depending on how tight you're feeling today. And then we're going to gently walk it over to the other side. Same thing. So a draw forward of your shoulder. Make sure both sit bones are still down on the floor. Just about 2 more slow breaths here. Think about using that exhale to create a little extra space between each of your vertebrae. So maybe you do find a little bit more length and lift through each exhale. We're going to walk it back to center. One more time and just a gentle forward fold or just fingers in front of you. All right, we're going to walk it back in and kick our legs out, but just one at a time. So go ahead. I'm going to start with my right leg, no matter what it looks like on this video. Right leg kicking out and the left leg coming close to the center line of the body. Depending on how you're feeling today, maybe you have it all the way over touching your right thigh bicep. Maybe that heel is in line uh, with the center of your body, we'll say. Maybe it's a little further out. Just find what feels good for you. Take a moment and once again enjoy a little bit of a lift. So ground through your sit bones. Let's actually inhale those arms all the way up overhead and exhale. Relax those arms down by your side. Let's do that same thing from right here one more time. Inhale those arms up. You're going to keep those arms up this time though and turn towards your extended leg and exhale your fingers down towards the floor. So still getting a bit of a stretch through that upper back. You can stay lifted right here, or if it's within your wheelhouse of comfort, you can gently start to walk yourself forward. Remember to start with that nice length, and then if it feels good, you can find some rounding, but better to just kind of stay a little bit lifted as opposed to crunching forward or taking the contraction out from the center line of the body, we'll say. Great. Just about 2 more breaths while facing your extended leg. If you've rounded forward at all, I want you to walk yourself back up, still facing that leg. Big inhale, find length through the crown of your head, and exhale, turn back towards the front one more time. Start to walk your hands forward, but keep your sit bones on the floor. So just going as far forward as works for you today, still with that long spine to begin with. And then if it feels good on your back, if it feels good on the shoulders, you can take a gentle rounding forward. Feel free to be as passive of the stretch right now in your extended leg. Maybe your toe is falling towards the wall in front of you. Maybe you have that toe flexed back towards your knee to get a little bit more activation through that straight leg. Just finding what feels good. Go ahead, inhale, walk yourself back through center, and let's change our legs. So starting just finding some relaxation, coming back to your slow breath from this half dragonfly. Get both of those sit bones grounded down to the floor. So maybe you take a little wiggle. I know as we first came into it, I was like, I'm feeling great here. And I noticed that my left sit bone was not touching the mat. So, you know, no one's perfect. It's literally practice, and we're just doing the best that we can with our bodies. Let's inhale those arms up, find some length. Exhale, relax your arms down one more time. Oof, big inhale, lift up. Turn towards your extended leg and exhale, relax your fingers down towards the floor. And it's really normal if maybe one side felt a little bit more loose, open, comfortable, and flexible, and one side feels a little bit tighter. If you if you'd like to, or if you need a little bit more of that stretch, you can always walk yourself further down that extended leg. Wow, this is really intense on this side for me today. So I'm just going to stay nice and lifted, finishing out this minute right here in our stretch. So just a little bit longer facing this extended leg. Last 2 breaths. If you did walk yourself forward, start to lift yourself back up. Once you're lifted, use your inhale, find your length, draw your core in, turn back to center. One more, oh yeah, wow. One more time. Gentle little forward fold. Great. Lift yourself up, extend both legs out in front of you for a nice little caterpillar. Or you can do staff pose, especially if your back is like, I have done enough. Just place your fingers right here by your hips. Take a little lift of the chest, maybe squeeze at the shoulder blades, and you can allow your toes to fall away from you and be a little bit more relaxed. For caterpillar, taking that hinge of the hips. And then first coming forward with that nice long length. And then if you want to round down, you know that you are welcome to. We're just going to take 2 more incredibly slow breaths right here. And if you came into a caterpillar, lift yourself up. Next, we're going to come into 90-90. So bending one leg in and the opposite leg, oh my gosh, behind you. You can either literally have both of your legs in two 90-degree angles, working towards getting the inner sole of your back foot towards the floor. That might be a little too much for some people though. So if you need to place the top of the foot onto the floor to relieve a little bit of the stress, or bring it a little further in if that's too much for you. But we're going to get that nice, tight, close in option in just a moment. I'm feeling pretty tight today. So I'm going to bring my hands behind me and just work to exhale and encourage this back sit bone a little closer towards the floor. If that's still really not working for you, you can lift it up a little off of the mat and turn towards your opposite leg. Just find out which one of those stretches feels the most meaningful for you. And we'll take what I think is like two more lengths of a normal person breath here, because personally, I'm weird and I love it. All right, when you finish that next exhale, we're gonna take this back leg and bring it in so that sole of your foot is coming to like hug your glutes, and we're gonna extend that opposite leg in front of us. You can keep some space between your inner thigh, or you can also work to bring it in a little bit closer. But I want you to still at least conceptualize having this opposite glute down towards the floor. So we're getting a little bit of a quad stretch. We're in like a half hero pose. We're like half fixed firm. So you might notice a little extra stretch into that ankle, intentional, maybe even a bit of a reduction of the blood flow into that space. One more big inhale, find a little bit of lifted length. Let's roll over onto our opposite glute and extend both legs in front of us. So just taking another moment. Ooh, you can bob or windshield wipe your legs. You can pass through in staff pose or find a little forward hinge in caterpillar. Just about 2 breaths to do what feels right for you. And then we're going to come into our 90-90 in the opposite direction. All right, so let's come into that 90-90 on the opposite side. Remember, both sides of the body are, oh my gosh, are not the same. So just doing what feels right for this side of the body today. Ooh, I'm gonna have to fold that back foot in because having the sole of the foot on the floor is just a little too intense for me on this left side hip right now. And that's okay. Honestly, a lot of your flexibility depends on the time of day, like how warm your body is, how well you slept. Personally, I've slept horribly, horribly the past 2 days. And hips are a place where we store emotions. And, it makes sense that this is all hard because of my poor sleep and because of the way that it makes you feel. So, uh, but there is a possibility if you do the same class in a couple hours, you're going to be like, whoa, that all felt so attainable, which is like one of the awesome things about yoga. All right, let's fold that opposite back leg in, extend one leg out. So we're taking another moment in our little like half hero pose. How much can you get this knee towards the floor? So I want you to focus a lot more on applying a little bit of pressure on the inside edge of the thigh of the knee towards the floor, as opposed to having this leg really lifted. And that might mean that you need to open your legs even wider to make it happen. Great. Let's extend that back leg out once more. Bob your knees, windshield wipe your legs. We got 2 more stretches. We've been warming up for this one. Next up, we've got Camel. So come and meet me on your knees and lift yourself up into a kneeling position. As you get here, still applying some pressure with the knees on the floor. And you might have a little bit of a tripod with your feet, but we're not intentionally bringing feet together. So the best that you can, still also having your heels in line with your separated knees. Maybe feet are in a little bit closer than knees. All right. We're going to bring our hands to our lower back, like you're sliding them into your why are they cool again mom jeans. No offense. But we all know what I'm talking about, those super high-waisted jeans. So your hands are right below your lower ribs. Squeeze your glutes, push your hips forward, and do your best to keep your hips stacked on top of your knees. So as you go back, you're not bringing your heels towards your glutes. You're going to inhale and lift your chest. Start to squeeze your shoulder blades towards each other. Still squeezing those glutes and hips pressing forward. Inhale, look your eyes up towards the ceiling. Start to look for the wall behind you, but make sure that you haven't started bringing those heels back to your glutes. So think of a string lifting your chest. Every inhale you lift up, and every exhale you look back a little bit more. Take 2 more breaths. Inhale, look up. Exhale, squeeze and look back. One more time. Inhale, look up. Exhale, look back. Keep your hands on your lower back and carefully lift yourself up. Release your glutes back down towards your heels. Inhale those arms up overhead. Find a little bit of length. Exhale. Bring your hands to your heels behind you. We're going for a rabbit. So you're reaching towards your heels. You might not touch them. That's okay. I have my hands holding onto my glutes to begin with. Tucking chin down towards your chest. And you can watch me to start because I don't want you to turn or twist your head. You're going to carefully lower yourself down, bringing your chin close towards your chest, bringing your forehead as close towards your knees as possible. And as you get down here, you get a better grip of your hands on your feet. And then from there, use your exhale to lift your hips up. So feel free to join me right here. I will tell you while you're doing this, there's not a lot of weight on my head on my floor. A lot of the weight is in my hand on my heels. Pardon me. Well, there's like a throat choking sensation, and it's intentional. You just don't want to turn or twist your head here. If you really want your forehead and your knees to touch, you can always walk your knees up one by one to find that big rounding through your upper back. Take one more inhale and exhale. Carefully lift yourself up. Sit your glutes on your heels. Take a lift of the chest. Let's do a little bit of ab work, shall we? How many moves do I have for us today? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We got 7 moves. Great. How about if we do each of them for 40 seconds and then 20 seconds, I'll tell you what's coming up next. I think that sounds pretty fair. We're going to start right down here on the floor. Move number 1 is going to be a plank with a knee tap. So if you can come on back into that plank, you're going to be in a plank, straight arm or forearm, and just tapping alternate knees down on the floor. Having your feet a little bit wider can be a more stable base. If you cannot be in that plank, you can always be right here in this checkpoint and just extend a foot out and bring it back in, extend a foot out and bring it back in. Or same thing from tabletop, just alternating between coming into that plank form. Maybe you can even lift that knee up off the floor. Oh, that's a great modification. Just stepping back, taking a moment to lift yourself up. Great. Whichever one of those you want to go with, we start in 3, 2, 1. I'll start in that modification. So stepping one knee back, pressing down into the ball of the foot, lifting that front knee, and then bringing it back in, stepping the other leg back, lifting the front knee. You can even keep those toes tucked for a little bit of support. A little bit harder is being right here in this check mark, extending one leg out. Still, you can work to lift that knee, or maybe you're just staying in the checkpoint, you're not lifting that knee up, or both legs are out, you're in a plank, and you're alternating between tapping one knee down and then the other. You got 5 seconds left. 4, 3, 2, 1. Great. Next, we've got a kneeling get up. So coming back into kneeling, you're going to step one foot forward, and then you're going to step the other foot forward into the squat. Lower yourself down. If you're not ready to lift yourself up today, just step one foot forward, bring it back down, and step the other foot forward. Ready? Begin. So harder option is stepping forward, staying low, transferring weight into your heels, and then carefully coming back down into this kneeling position. I'm just alternating each time with which leg I have leading. We're getting some great work into the glutes, challenging those hip flexors as well. Make sure you're still breathing. You got 10 seconds left. And then we're coming back into a plank motion. Next up, we've got bear. So come on down to your mat. Maybe you give yourself a cow right here. So we're going to go from bear to plank, similar to that first move, tucking your toes under, lifting your knees up, stepping back into plank, and then stepping back up into bear. Maybe you take a moment and relax your knees to the floor, each one. Let's get started. So pressing up into bear, stepping back into plank. So for bear, knees are just hovering off of the floor. And if you need a modification, same as before, you can step it back, lift a knee up, and bring it back in. And just alternate with each one, still getting so much core work, really starting to practice applying some great weight into your hands palms. 10 seconds left. And lower yourself all the way down. Make sure there's some room for your hands in front of you. I'm a little limited in space, so I'm going to keep my hands right here. As a W, we've got some Supermans. So just lifting everything up, lowering everything all the way down. Ready? Eyes to the floor, begin. So squeeze and lift, exhale and lower. Sorry, exhale to lift, inhale to lower. I was like, Jessica, that doesn't sound right. But I really want you to think about how much can you lift up off of the floor. Maybe you alternate between getting as much of your chest off of the floor and then squeezing your glutes and getting as much of those thighs off of the floor. But ideally, you're seeing a good range of motion right here, especially because we did some great opening of the chest and the back in our camel. Great. Next up, we're going to press ourselves up into tabletop. We're going for some down dog ankle taps. So up and down dog, just alternating between tapping to one leg and then alternating tapping to the other leg. Ready? 3, 2, tuck your toes, send your hips up, and you can have a generous bend of your knees if you need to. You don't need to be in the most rigorous of down dogs. You're just challenging your balance right here, right now, and also getting a nice stretch into those shoulders. And if you want, you can make this more challenging and add a little plank in and then press back up into your down dog to just work those shoulders a little bit more. Yay, come on down to the floor. Oh man. All right. Next up, we've got side planks, a little side plank with a hip dip. We'll do 20 seconds on one side and then flip and get 20 on the other. You can have your knees bent. I plan to. I'm going to extend one arm up towards the ceiling, lift, and then lower down, and then lift up. Maybe you have one leg extended for a little extra balance challenge. Get ready to flip to the other side in 3, 2, 1, flip to the other side. So what I meant to say was get into it, was that we had 8 moves, but I said we had 7. So I'm going to stick with having just 7 moves. Woo. Great. Our last move of the day is going to be a plank with a jack at the back. So you can either jump those legs out or you can step your legs out one at a time. You can do the same thing from right here in tabletop. Stepping one leg out, bringing it in, stepping the other leg out, and bringing it in. Here we go. So just tap to the side and in, tap to the side and in. This is our last core move of the day. Less than 30 seconds of work to go. Make sure those hands palms are still underneath the chest and shoulders. You're in a good plank. We're not in down dog, but if you need to take a second in down dog, that is a great way to just reset and catch your breath without bringing those knees down towards the floor. A little active recovery. 5 seconds left. 3, 2, 1. Let's get some recovery. Bring those knees down towards the floor. Give yourself a couple cat cows right here. Your choice if you're passing through this cat cow pretty quickly, or if you want to take an extra second hanging in cat or hanging in cow. Oh no, it looks like the internet stopped working. I hope that things are still streaming normally over here. I'm taking some twists right here in my cat cow. Working a little bit into those obliques. Go ahead, open your knees nice and wide. Bring those toes together. Send your glutes back towards your heel. And walk your hands forward. Coming into that child's pose. We've got just a couple minutes left right here. Let's do our best to stay focused and other things I tell myself. Do you guys ever have that problem? You know, it's like class is ending, you're starting to feel so good, and maybe your laptop or cell phone is nearby and you see that you've like missed all these calls. And there's a voicemail, there's a ping for this and a yada yada for that. And like it can ruin the last couple minutes of exercise. So let's do our best to just come back into this moment. If you're like me and that's a big distraction for you, pull yourself all the way forward. Bring your pelvis down towards the floor. Ooh. Start to look up towards the ceiling. And if you need to come down and do this on your forearms, a sphinx instead of straight arm, that's okay. Go ahead, tuck those toes under. Send your hips up towards the ceiling. Make your way into down dog and take a generous pedal through those heels. Shall we hit the IT bands just a bit? I think we shall. Press all the way up onto the balls of the feet and drop your heels over to one side. Then press up onto the balls of the feet. Inhale and exhale. Drop your heels over to the other side. If you'd like, you can do that one more time or just come back into the stretch, the motion that works for you. And then once you're back to center, start to walk your hands to your feet or your feet to your hands. Take a moment. We'll pass through a dangle. So shift the weight into your heels, as generous of a bend of your knees as you want. Take a little bit of a ragdoll or maybe gorilla stepping on your hands. So either grabbing hold of your opposite elbow if you can't step on your hands, or stepping on your hands to get that extra little separation through the shoulders. A little bit more space through your back ribs. Shake your head. Yes, I feel it. Shake your head. No, I cannot believe that we're done already. Are you serious? And the answer is yes, I am serious. If you're stepping on your hands, remove them from under your feet and generously bend your knees. Shift your weight to your heels once more. Roll yourself all the way up. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale. Relax your arms down by your sides. Let's take one more big breath just like that together. Bend your knees. Inhale, arms up. Exhale. Relax those arms down by your side. Pardon me if Dateline NBC just started playing for you too. Let's take a couple twists in each direction. And then come into stillness. So just finishing up with a little bit of stillness, grounding through your feet, stretch your fingers down towards the floor, open up your chest, maybe even hands towards your hips in a little power pose. Take in how amazing you are with one more big inhale together. And exhale, let everything go. Yay! I hope you're feeling so good. We did have some challenging moves in there. We got some great opening stretches. If you have any questions or concerns about anything I said or we did, you know you can reach out. I look forward to seeing you again, either live for class tomorrow on campus or on Friday for some yin. Have a wonderful rest of your day, everyone.